Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for another daily cryptocurrency market update. If you are new to this channel and finding yourself on our videos for the first time today, don't forget to check out that subscribe button because we drop an update just like this one every single day at 1 p.m. UK time to help you guys stay up to date with the latest and greatest things happening in the crypto space, but also the broader markets, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. We are going to kind of leave the broader markets alone for this update and really focus on crypto specifically. I suppose we will be looking at Coinbase stock, and of course tomorrow is extremely important for the entire industry. We have a hearing in regards to the SEC versus Coinbase, and I think there are technical reasons that I want to explore with you guys today that suggest the altcoin market, specifically over Bitcoin, and even Coinbase's stock are going to do very well on the back end of this hearing. So we have previously looked at the 4 possible outcomes. I just want to spend a few minutes actually talking about the hearing, talking about what way I think it's going to go, and what I think the outcomes are going to be, the ramifications for the market. And then we'll go over and we'll look at some things technically that lead me to believe actually tomorrow is going to be a very good day for the crypto space. It's interesting how Coinbase, having made our target that we had in 2023, pulled back beautifully and is now coming into what we expect to act as support, ready for a bounce. We've got others, market cap dominance, which essentially is altcoin dominance outside of the top 10. That looks primed and ready to see continuation. And we actually have altcoins setting up very similar patterns across the board that will show you this inverse head and shoulders kind of a pattern for the likes of Polkadot, Hedera, Cardano, you name it, even something like Link, and we're expecting a break of the neckline and the actual formation of this inverse head and shoulders to take place. And actually tomorrow could be the day. And then we'll get into Bitcoin, where the market's at. We're in this kind of stall box right shoulder for Bitcoin, or the formation of the right shoulder. So a lot to cover as always. Tomorrow again is such a huge day, and ultimately the SEC has charged Coinbase with offering unregistered securities. And the ironic thing was the SEC actually allowed Coinbase to go public. They allowed them to IPO, which means they'd have had to overhaul and take a view at what Coinbase are doing. And they still, despite knowing what they were doing, what they were offering, the staking services, so on and so forth, allowed them to go public. So the SEC we've seen lose a number of lawsuits, most notably Grayscale is a very important one that has essentially, I think, played a big role in the ETF approval. And now Coinbase are having a hearing tomorrow. And the thing with Coinbase is the SEC, it wasn't just about Bitcoin. They mentioned a list of altcoins and ultimately staking services. So if tomorrow, and I do believe there's going to be comments specifically about this, the SEC, a question, for example, is put to the SEC in regards to, are these altcoin securities? We're going to get a bit of clarity to come out of that. And there's been a real dark cloud that's been put over altcoins as a result of the SEC mentioning them in the likes of the Coinbase lawsuit, the Bittrex lawsuit, the Binance lawsuit, and so on and so forth. So tomorrow is going to be extremely significant. The really interesting thing for me is actually what's happening technically and what the outcome of tomorrow may mean that is already technically signaled, because I think altcoins are primed for the next leg up, and we think altcoins are going to outperform Bitcoin during this time period of Bitcoin forming the right shoulder, which suggests Bitcoin might just go sideways. If Bitcoin slams down harshly, altcoins will, of course, because Bitcoin is still the tide that rides and sinks all ships, feel the pressure and the weight of that. So very interesting. Another thing to add is that if you look at the ETF approvals, pretty much all of them mention Coinbase as a custodian. Okay, so the SEC is okay with Coinbase custodying crypto, Bitcoin specifically. And of course, Ethereum ETFs also have Coinbase mentioning in. So tomorrow is going to be very significant. And let's not ramble on for too much longer. Let's actually just dive over into the charts. And we're going to start off with Coinbase specifically. This is a chart that we got beautifully right last year. We were lucky enough to accumulate Coinbase in the 30-40 cent dollar range. I wish cents range. It never actually got down there and probably never will. And we had this smaller head and shoulders pattern, just like we had for Bitcoin, projecting it to 42K. The target for this head and shoulders was $184. And the beautiful thing about technical analysis is it works. Maybe not for the other YouTubers out there, maybe not for you guys that are disgruntled and don't believe in it, but for us it certainly does. And hopefully we're proving that case as we progress with this channel. We got last year beautifully right based purely on technical analysis, because technical analysis, when you're looking at a chart, you're looking at the footprints in the sand of what the insiders are doing. So the interesting thing about Coinbase was it ran into this target before then selling off. And the beautiful thing more so is you have this smaller head and shoulders target, but you also have a bigger one. So you can see where it's, you know, your left armpit is here, and then you've got this as a head, and then you've got this as a right shoulder that's significantly weaker than the left shoulder. So you've got a smaller target that was met. Now you've got a broader head and shoulders target that could be taking Coinbase up to $421. I think there's a number of reasons to be bullish on Coinbase. Now today, I would like to see Coinbase come down a little bit. And in regards to the pre-market, it's down around about $1. But you are running into an area of support that coincides with tomorrow's big event that we'll be covering, first of all, in the morning, pre the thing, and then we'll be maybe even streaming it live. And then we'll do a sort of wrap up on the whole thing, you know, some of the key points. So do stay tuned for that. But I am expecting a bounce for Coinbase. Again, with the fundamental news, this looks quite likely. I think, you know, one of the options for how this gets resolved is the case just gets dismissed. Okay? Or Coinbase's claim gets dismissed and the SEC are going to take years to sort of go through it. You know, there was one option that was altcoins and their claim that altcoins are securities gets dismissed, but ultimately staking as a service is the kind of investment contract that they're talking about. So that's very interesting. But Coinbase looks primed to rock and roll, and very interestingly, so do many altcoins. Let's switch over to Chainlink. This is Chainlink that we think is in a head and shoulders. We're going to reveal our target now, although we'll do a full video on it later on, just like we have done with Coinbase. Cardano. We did do it with Coinbase last year and many stocks, and we're seeing the same thing now forming in crypto. Cardano, Polkadot, Hedera, and now Chainlink we can predict a target for. So Chainlink's in this kind of inverse head and shoulders pattern. You've got the likes of Hedera, which is sort of more of a double bottom pattern. It's not really a head and shoulders. You've got the likes of Polkadot, which again, you can see what we're looking at here, and we're waiting for a break of this resistance, of this neckline, of this key level of significance with momentum. And then, of course, we looked at Cardano yesterday and sort of where that's heading. So altcoins look primed. The overall market is now in an uptrend. You know, this is an uptrend. I think people are getting very fearful, but I don't think there's reason to be. And Bitcoin, of course, is just setting up, having completed its lower down head and shoulders, now a broader head and shoulders that could take you to 150K. So everything looks good. And tomorrow is such a critical day. It's worth paying 100% attention to it, quite frankly. You know, it's not just these altcoins that we've mentioned. There are many out there. We might do a video sort of summarizing many of these altcoins. You also, let's take a look at some of Grayscale's products and see where they're at. So this is Grayscale's Lumens. This is their Chainlink Trust that we've been tracking. This is their Solana Trust. Let's try and find their digital large cap fund, which is here. Beautiful target met on the Grayscale Digital Large Cap Fund. Harsh pullback into potentially support. And interestingly, on all of this, if you look at others' dominance, you've had that initial bounce. So smaller head and shoulders, made a broader head and shoulders pattern that we're now in. You broke out of it on volume. You came back. You supported around previous resistance, now flip support. And now this looks ready. In our opinion, this pattern is broken on its way to 20% plus. You've also got Bitcoin dominance, which looks ready to roll. This leads us to believe that altcoins are going to do very well. Okay, break, retest, and now this is in a broader downtrend, I think, which suggests altcoins are going to do very well. So there's a lot of things that lead me to believe tomorrow's outcome is going to be very bullish for the altcoins, certainly as they've been named specifically, and bullish for Coinbase also and the entire crypto industry. You know, I want to just reiterate this point. There's no doubt in my mind that blockchain is distributed ledger technology is really what I prefer to call it, because not everything's a blockchain that uses this distributed design. You've got DAGs and you've got things like this. Everything is going to be tokenized. Everything is going to be onboarded to the blockchain in the same way that the internet you can't ignore today. That hasn't happened yet. And you lucky guys at the other end of the screen, and girls, get to be the beneficiaries of getting in early on this technological revolution. You know, it is truly an amazing opportunity, and there's no reason to be sad or doubtful, I guess. Doubtful is probably not the right word. Pessimistic on any of this kind of stuff. So waiting for Bitcoin to form that right shoulder. Altcoin's likely going to do quite well. And ultimately, I think tomorrow is going to see a pretty certainly volatility, but actually I think it's going to be upside volatility based on what we've looked at with Coinbase, based on where the altcoins are currently at and what we're expecting for them. You know, that break of resistance tomorrow could be the perfect day for them, and the head and shoulders across the board to play out, just like we've seen with other charts. And we've got dominance rolling over. We've got Bitcoin dominance that is rolling over and looking like it's now it's broken market structure and now like it's going to downtrend. We've got others dominance that is ready to continue and start to gain ground against the really top 10, so Bitcoin mainly. You know, everything is set in motion. So I suppose as I've rambled on for 10 minutes or so, that is probably all from me. We are going to be covering tomorrow. There was a little bit of news, very lackluster news day. So just in Bitcoin and crypto could significantly reduce US dollar dominance. Yes, I believe so. And of course, you've got Vanguard and Merrill Lynch senior account managers now apologizing to clients for their firm's lack of vision on crypto exposure. Everything is going to be, you know, boomers hold more money than anyone. 70% of the wealth in the United States is held by people 60 and over. There's this great transfer of wealth coming. I think crypto is going to play a big part in that and be an obvious choice. I think there's also in the traditional financial world a lot of restructuring on typical portfolios, a 60-40 split. You know, everything is looking great, guys, and so are the charts. Tomorrow, like I say, I'm putting my neck on the line here. I expect a really positive result for the Coinbase, for altcoins, and we can see that technically signaled perhaps in the charts. So we'll see how today plays out. I'd like to see a little bit lower on Coinbase, a little bit more stalling on these altcoins. Only ready for the hearing to take place and some alpha, would I say, to be dropped, some, you know, positive things to come out of it. So that's really all I've got for you in this video, guys. If you enjoyed the content, like, appreciate it, so as a comment. Don't forget to become a subscriber. Do check out my Patreon and get access to not only 2 weekly meetings with me, where we go into things in a lot more detail. We also discuss our altcoins and our strategy. Also, you'll unlock my entire portfolio, which I will be readjusting, ready for tomorrow's big day. So thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.